getting paid to do what I love while traveling seemed like a really good payoff for me. I saw 26 different countries in less than a year, so that was phenomenal.
Welcome to this week's episode of Beauty Babble. Today we're talking to Aimee Steers about her time as a traveling esthetician. Aimee is a CIDESCO certified esthetician and nail tech with over 10 years experience in the industry. She's also the owner of her own nail salon called Ames Beauty. Hi, Aimee. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello, Doreen
Hello.
and Amy. Welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you here today. As soon as you said when we met a few months back, it was cruise ships. I went, oh, we need to talk and bring you on here because I don't think people realize, in the industry what it takes to be able to get to the cruise ship
Yeah, absolutely.
world of employment. So if you want to tell us your journey, how did you get there? Where did you start? How did you find out about this?
Actually, through my mom. So, my mom has been an esthetician for the past 35 years, and she took her CIDESCO diploma, I want to say back in like 2009. And since then, like, I've always kind of known about CIDESCO. And when I went to school, we had a list of jobs that we could do, and cruise ship was one of them. So, that was kind of my end goal from the time that I started in school. And yeah, it's just kind of escalated from there. I graduated from my CIDESCO diploma in 2016. And then in 2018, I had applied to work on cruise ships because I wanted to get a little bit of work experience in the industry first. And by January of 2019, I was headed to London for my training and I was on board a ship the next month after that.
Wow. So did you have to actually take specific education? I heard you mention Sedesco.
Yes. So I have, in order to work on cruise ships as a beauty therapist, you have to have an international diploma, whether it's CIDESCO or iTech. I definitely recommend CIDESCO because their standards are very equivalent to those in the European side of things, which is more on cruise ships, right? So I did that. And then in London, I actually had to go through training as well with the Steiner Academy, which is now called One Spa World. And I was there for 6 weeks doing training with their brands, with their treatments. It was really amazing.
6 weeks of full time. Is that it?
Full time, yeah,
I know
monthly.
years and years ago they did have an academy out of Vancouver. And then if you kind of passed that, then you would go into their full academy in the UK. Is that right? Or is that still a
Yes.
part of
So
it?
I actually had to fly to Vancouver to do my interview, which was on board a cruise ship. And right from that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely what I want to
Wow.
do. Yeah. And back in the day, they did do like a practical sort of interview, but because we were on board a ship, we couldn't do it at the time. So I just sat and met with the recruiter. We had an interview, and then she asked me to send a video of me doing like a facial at home on a client. So back at my home spa, which I did. And then within the week, I was approved and I was getting ready to go to London.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how much notice do they give you?
So for my first contract, I had 3 months to prepare because I wanted to spend Christmas with my family, right? Because I didn't know when I'd be home again. So I had 3 months. And then on January, I think it was like January 4th or something of 2019, I headed to London on my own and was in the academy the following week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the journey.
Yeah. I was on board for 9 months, so I came back in at the end of
9 months.
September. Yeah, at the end
Take
of
on both.
September.
so January, like, I was in London for 6 weeks, and then I think it was the 2nd week of February, that's when I went out to my ship, which I boarded in Jamaica. I was on board Marella Discovery 2, which is a British cruise line, and I was on that ship up until the 28th of September. So I was on board for 8 months.
Your home was the ship, the cruise ship.
My home was the ship, yes.
Did you
Wow.
did you get to get off the ship when you boarded or when they docked at all?
Yes, so as a spa employee, we had, like, 2.5 days off a week, so usually it wasn't, like, a full day off, it was half days, so I would have, like, every other morning off, and if we were in port, then yes, I would go off and get to explore, so that was pretty cool, but yeah, the ship was my home. I had a cabin, it was about the size of a walk-in closet, and there was a bunk bed, so there was 2 of us in there. We had, like, half of a closet and a tiny little bathroom with a curtain and, like, a shower, toilet, and sink all in one, so it was interesting.
So what was the appeal, first of all? Because that sounds not appealing to me,
Yeah.
right? What was the appeal going into it? And then was that part of a shock or something that you didn't expect?
Travel. I had wanted to travel, right? And getting paid to do what I love while traveling seemed like a really good payoff for me, and it really was. I mean, of course, the cabin wasn't the greatest part, but really you're only in your cabin to sleep, right? So, yeah, it was the travel for me. Like I saw 26 different countries in less than a year, so that was phenomenal.
That's amazing.
Mm,
It's very amazing. I
yeah.
think. I don't know. I agree on the cabin part. It's like when you first saw that, you're like, okay, like I have a roomie and we can do this in this closet.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nerve-wracking because, of course, you're put into a room with somebody you've never met before, and it can be a very invasive experience, right? But I ended up becoming really good friends with my cabin mate, and then she actually left a month later, and I had another cabin mate, but she had a partner on board who had his own cabin, so she stayed with him most of the time. So really, for like
You all know.
4 months, I had my own cabin.
So is this
Worked
like, do
out?
they just like match you up with the staff, or each department kind of works to get like rooms together?
With the spa staff, we were all partnered together, so we were partnered with another member of the spa team. With other departments, though, it can depend, like, there's unfortunately very much a hierarchy on ships, so usually, like your cleaning staff, your cooks, your wait staff, they're all kind of a little bit on the lower end of that hierarchy, and then you have your spa staff, your entertainment team, your casino, and they're kind of in the middle, so fortunately, we were partnered with somebody from our own department, whether it's like casino or spa, right? Whereas the ones would be partnered with each other.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting. So
Mhm.
what is something mm, that you weren't expecting,
Yeah.
whether it was positive or constructive, we'll say?
Yeah. All of my expectations of working on cruise ships were completely gone once I got on board. It was
So,
nothing like I
okay,
did.
what were your expectations and then what actually happened?
I definitely went on board expecting it to be super strict. When you're in the academy, it's very much like you do this, you get kicked off, you do this, you get kicked off. And I expected my spa manager to be really mean and strict and just very much retail based. I expected the cabins to be worse than what they were. I thought I was going to be roomed with like 4 people instead of just the other one. So when I got on board, definitely my expectations were a lot better. Like, you get on board and you go right into your onboarding, which is like a safety onboarding. And my spa manager walked in, and as soon as I saw her, I was like really intimidated, but she turned out to be one of my very good friends, and we're still in contact to this day. So it was an amazing experience. There definitely were some expectations, like the time off was difficult. The more you hit your targets, the more time you got off. So it can be definitely pretty challenging if you aren't like a salesperson, but they do train you in a lot of retail aspects when you're in London.
Your targets, were they retail targets that you had to reach?
Yes. So we had retail and service targets. My target was set, I think it was at £5,000 a week, which is about close to 10,000 Canadian, and half of that had to be retail. But when people go on holiday, they want to spend more, right? So I definitely learned really quick how to get people to spend money on retail.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting. And was this part of the training or is this something how you are as a person, or did you find from all of your trainings from when you first went to aesthetic school, your CIDESCO, and then their training and onto the cruise ship, that whole aspect? Does it all tie in together? Did you find that you really learned a lot from the cruise ship?
Absolutely. First of all, CIDESCO on its own is an amazing training. They teach you how to deal with people, how to deal with conflict resolution, as well as provide excellent service, right? Their standards are incredible. But when you do go to the Steiner Training Academy in London, they give you a breakdown of how to retail properly. There's very much a whole week where it's just spent on training on how to sell to clients. And then, of course, when you're on board, your spa manager, the rest of the spa team, like we're consistently doing trainings every week to try and kind of increase revenue. So that was really awesome.
Wow. And
Mhm.
were there any challenges you faced with it when you were first approached with this idea? Because I come from that time, and I think Doreen knows too, that it was part of most places you had to hit targets when you were in this industry. And I don't know what it's been like the last few years, considering most people are doing their own thing out of their home. So that pressure isn't quite there anymore, I don't think, like it was before. So,
It was definitely a rude awakening because, again, like I was a nail tech to start, right? And nail techs, we don't usually try and sell lots. If it's cuticle oil, nail file, yes. But when it comes to skincare and body care, it's a totally different ball game, right? Like retail's where you're going to make the bulk of your money. So that was definitely a challenge. But I do find as a Canadian, when you're working abroad with Europeans, people are a lot more friendly towards you. They approach you a lot more. So it was definitely a little bit easier for me because of my nationality and because I could speak fluent English, right? Like a lot of people on cruise ships are from different countries and they're not like English isn't their first language. So that definitely gave me a huge advantage, but it was very intimidating when I got told my target was going to be $10,000 a week and I had to have 5,000 of that being retail. I was nervous and I didn't hit it at first. Like it took me probably a good 2 months to hit my target for the first time, but then I was consistently hitting it and I actually for the rest of my cruises I did hit it, whether it's like I hit my whole target or I hit the retail. Sometimes I wouldn't hit the retail target depending on where we were, but I was consistently hitting target. And because of that, I did get promoted to assistant manager, which was amazing.
wow,
It's awesome.
Yeah. Mhm.
that's great. It's amazing.
You mentioned that if you didn't hit your targets, had something to do with your time off. So can you
Yeah.
explain that a little bit more?
I mean, automatically, you're still going to have that 2.5 days off a week. They can't take that away from you. But the more you hit your target, we had like incentives. So you get like an extra hour off if you hit a certain amount of your target, or you'd get like the full day off if you hit your full target, like things like that. They couldn't take away your time off, but they could add to it if you did hit that target. So it was a nice incentive because, of course, we're in all different places. And especially when we got over to the Med, I was like, I want time off. I want to see Europe. Like, this is amazing. So that was definitely a good incentive for me to hit that target.
How were the other people you worked with in the industry? Were they, because you would have met people from all over the world?
I did, yeah. And some of them I'm still in contact with and I talk to every day. Like, I have friends that I've known since birth, and we only talk like maybe once every couple months. But these people that I met on board, I talk to every day. They're some of my very best friends. So I have friends all over the world, which is amazing. Definitely, there were some people in the spa that I didn't really get along with, especially when you go from being just the therapist to the assistant manager. A lot of people don't like that, right? So it was difficult at some points, but for the most part, we all got along really well. And I have friends all over, which is amazing.
So when you said you had your promotion, to be assistant manager couldn't have been just because of your sale.
It was because of sales as well as I kind of took on like I took the initiative, right? Like I was out there promoting myself, I was getting the clients in, I was friendly, and I was
Okay.
still around the spa. So it wasn't just the sales,
Mhm.
but they definitely, in order to get up there, they want to see that you're hitting those sales targets
For
consistently.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. What was your role as an assistant manager then?
Well, I still did treatments, so I was still a beauty therapist, but I did a lot of like the front desk. I did a lot of team trainings, like end of day reports, end of cruise reports. I was pretty much, I helped the manager quite a bit. I was her eyes and ears when she couldn't be in the spa, like when she was at other meetings and such. And then I also went on as a part of the safety committee on the ship as an assistant manager for the spa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you said that you were there from February to September.
Mhm.
Did you do more than one round, and how long were you doing it for?
Yeah, so I got home in September and then by the middle of November, I had joined the ship again. So I was home for about 2 months, I want to say, a little bit less than 2 months. And I went to the same ship. I was put on as assistant manager again. And then this, like the last time I was on, I was a massage therapist instead of a beauty therapist.
I have to ask, like, what would be your best moment, and what was your, well, not such a great moment?
Well, I met my husband on board, so
Oh,
that's probably my best moment.
where's he from?
He is from England. Yes, we met. It was like my first week on board, and he came into the spa for a haircut. So, right from then, I was like, "Oh, who's that guy?" And yeah, we have been together for, I guess, almost 5 years now.
Oh,
Okay, well,
wow.
matchmaking.
Yeah.
Did he work on the cruise ship or
He did, yeah, he was a part of the entertainment team, so he worked in, like, their, show lounge, and he did all the lighting and, like, stage rigging and stuff like that.
that's awesome. Did he go the second time when you went too?
Yeah, yeah. My second one was supposed to be 9 months, but of course, COVID happened, so that got cut short. Yeah, so usually about 7 to 9 months.
What was maybe the one big unexpected terrible moment that you can share?
COVID.
COVID? Okay.
COVID. Yeah,
No,
I
overall then it was just a really good experience for you.
it was phenomenal. I was 22 when I left, and it was probably the best experience for your early 20s, traveling with friends, seeing the world, making money. It was amazing. I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Speaking of making money,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask the sensitive question, and you don't have to share how much you made, but do you think is it more than you would normally make if you worked in a local spa?
Depends on the cruise line. So it's
Okay.
very much dependent on the cruise line you're with. When I was on ships, automatically we got $800 a week minimum. And then from there, we made, I can't remember the commission we made, but we made commission on both retail and services. And the retail commission was actually higher, which is a little bit different than your spas here. So that's why they want you to sell more retail, right? But it really all depends on the cruise line you're on. I was unfortunately placed on a British budget cruise line, and they don't like to buy. So I still made it work. I still hit my targets. I still did a lot of retail, but had I been placed on like Royal Caribbean, Princess, something like that, I definitely feel I would have made a lot more money. And I have friends who have worked there and they've made a lot more. So it's all dependent on the cruise line you get placed on.
Fair.
And you don't get a choice.
No, you do not. No. When you first go to the academy, from the moment you walk in that door, they're placing you on ships.
Oh,
So, based on your personality, your experience, your nationality as well, it tends to be Canadians will get placed on more difficult ships because we're more friendly. The
Interesting.
way it is.
Makes
But
sense.
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from the moment I walked in that door, I think I was set to go on a British cruise line. But yeah, it all depends on how you do in the academy and what they have available, right? So, at that
Mhm.
time, the reason I had to stay so long in the academy is because they knew that I was going to go to the ship that I did, and they just had to wait for the therapist that was on that ship to come off in order for me to go.
oh wow.
Mhm.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, those are a lot of things I didn't know about
Yeah.
Hmm.
cruise ships and that whole backside of it all. Now, you talked about personality. Now,
Mhm.
not just being Canadian is going to get you there.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit about, if someone was going to look at doing this, what should they look at within themselves to be successful, meaning happy
Mhm.
and do well financially, and yeah, just make it an overall great experience that you had? What do you think it takes in a
Um,
person that they really need to look at themselves?
I definitely think going into it with an open mind. Don't set your expectations like super high or super low, but go into it with an open mind, right? Because there's a chance that you could get placed on 6-star luxury cruise line. You could get placed on Disney. You could get placed on Princess. You could get placed on Morella. But go into it with an open mind and just be yourself. Be friendly, be outgoing, be yourself. Definitely don't try to be someone you're not, because that's just going to set you up for failure in the future, right? Again, they're going to base your ship off of your personality and how you handle certain situations. So make sure to be yourself for sure.
Hmm. Did they set you up with different like scenarios or situations that you could get thrown into?
They absolutely did. Yeah.
What kind of scenarios did they like actual like the people that your customers that would be coming, your clients that are becoming those kind of scenarios or yeah?
Yeah, very much. A lot of the time they'd give you like a little script almost to do some role play with a partner and how to approach different personalities, approach
Mhm.
different nationalities as well, and what to do when people say no, right? So there was a lot of time spent on how to have those proper conversations with clients.
Wow, that should almost like be in the training of aesthetic
Definitely, for sure.
and all service, really. Eh?
Yeah.
Moving out of working as a traveling esthetician or on a cruise ship and coming back to Edmonton, having your own business now, what do you think is a lesson that you learned along the way that helps you now in your business?
Again, just being myself, not trying to people please as much as you think you should in this industry. Of course, you want to serve your clients, but be yourself, and people who are going to have those same values as you are going to be your best clients, be your most loyal clients for sure. And yeah, just don't try to be someone you're not. That is my biggest thing, because I definitely tried that in the beginning. I tried to be such a perfectionist and tried to please everybody. And in all honestly, it's just going to come around and not be good for you in the long run.
Absolutely. That's good life advice, hey?
Yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned CIDESCO. Now, was that your objective? Was the cruise ships you had to get CIDESCO, or was CIDESCO training diploma just part of it, and then you found out after? Like, what was the reason to choose that over? My gosh, there's so many programs out there, right?
So my mom, actually, she took her CIDESCO at EIE, which is where I went as well. And Harmony, who's one of the longtime educators there, taught my mom. And she taught my grandma, and my mom wanted me to be taught by Harmony as well. So Harmony was probably one of the biggest reasons that I went to EIE, and it happened to be the CIDESCO program, which when I went for my tour, told me all of the things that I could do with the CIDESCO program, and cruise ships was one of them. And I was like, yep, this is where I want to go.
Wow, there's just so much involved. And so, are you just doing? You're not just doing your own business, though, are you, Aimee?
No, I'm actually educating at EIE now. So I am a full-time educator at the European Institute of Aesthetics. So I do both their full-time aesthetics program and their advanced clinical. I teach some of those classes. And then I have my own little nail salon out of my home, and I'm working evenings and weekends doing that.
Wow, that is so cool. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I think that was everything. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad this finally worked out and we could get together
Yes.
with you. It's always fun to learn new things and new ways in the beauty industry. It was great chatting with you today.
Thank you so much. It
You.
was lovely chatting with you too.
Thanks for listening to Beauty Babble.